Jesus didn't have a problem with people that's in the streets. He had a problem with religious people.
How can I help anybody when when I was not even able to help my own son?
I would never do that. I would never do that. And I became that in a matter of minutes when they took my pain pills away.
And I said, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not what I used to be.
This is Faith in Your Recovery. I am Randy Davis. Welcome to the battle. As always, we're excited to have you with us and excited to have this opportunity to share a story with you. I'm sure will have an impact, make a difference, touch your heart, spirit, and life. Make sure you like, you subscribe. We've got a QR code on here should you feel a heart-led moment to help support us financially. We're just glad you're a part of this, and we're going to jump into it real quick here. My guest today coming to us from Arizona, as he just shared with me, is Ian Fee. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me on.
It's our privilege. I'm looking forward to what you have to say. My introduction to you has come basically... I've not had a chance to give it a good read yet, but from your book, I'm sure you'll mention that after a bit. Let us know how to get our hands on it and everything else that goes with that. But in one of your bios, or at least the information I was able to dig up on you, this is going to be an awkward start for you, but I want to start with a comment that you made that has just stuck with me, and I'm going to get your reasoning behind it. I've got an inkling of what you're talking about. It said something like, unless you are right, nothing else is ever going to be right. You remember that statement?
Yes, sir. I certainly do. That is a very heartfelt one, and I live and breathe by every day.
Explain to us what it means exactly for you.
When in 2017, I went into a pretty intense aversion therapy rehab in Seattle, Washington, where they actually induced vomiting with alcohol. And I was going into rehab, approaching my second failed marriages, 3 amazing kids, and I was going into rehab for my kids, my wife, my job, everybody else but me. And on the third day in rehab, the good Lord touched me on the shoulder, and I get goosebumps talking about it. Touched me on the shoulder, and it was, unless you're right, nothing will be right. And that just was a flood of emotions for me. And what that meant to me is like, man, if I got to mentally be right, physically be right, emotionally be right for myself before I can give that to anybody else. And man, that third day of rehab, when the good Lord touched me on the shoulder and like spoke to me of making sure that I need to be right before I can make an impact on anybody. And that was a massive turning point for me of really looking in the mirror to go, I get it. I need to be right. If I'm gonna, try to teach my kids to be physically fit and emotionally there and communicate, man, I need to be the leader of my family and step my game up. And
you ever experience the good Lord touching you like that, getting your attention, tapping your shoulder, smack you upside the head, however you may describe it? Had you ever gone through a moment like that before?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
I've always, I have strong faith in the good Lord. Probably not practice it as well as I should, especially in my drinking days. But I can tell you this, Randy, in my drinking days, in my hungover days, I can't tell you how many times I prayed to the Lord that I wouldn't drink again. If He just made me feel better, and I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that. And I was just asking for all the wrong stuff until I got sober to realize what that really meant.
What hit you so hard in that moment? I know you repeated more than once the idea, I've got to get it right before I can make anything else right. And here it is. It's kind of that, as I like to refer to it, that lights on moment, that moment of change, that moment of prosperity of the soul, or whatever you may want to call it. But what was it that, wow, you accepted what he had to say then, and it resonated with you?
Yeah, I don't know. Some people will call it the rock bottom. Um, I think I stacked so many rock bottoms that was finally like the shake of like, hey, you're in rehab. You're approaching your second failed marriage. Like, when is enough enough?
Gotcha.
And it was just, again, like I said, those flood of emotions of like failure, sadness, and when you get sober, you have to sit with those feelings and emotions because I didn't realize I was numbing those for 34 years of my life of everything. It's okay to be a guy and cry. It's okay to express your feelings, and it was such a freeing moment. Um, Hence why I was like, man, I want to tell my story and be naked and truthful, and it's okay to go make an impact on people. But man, you better be right before you go take that mission.
So, did I catch you say in the middle of all of that it was evidently like 34 years of the struggle in an active drinking way? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'm 53 years old, and I probably have a good 34 years. I thought booze was my superpower, building my business and who I was and my identity, uh, all circled around alcohol. I was born and raised. I had in my book. You'll see a picture at my first drink was the age of 1. Um, Sitting in that little circle chair, drinking my dad's giving me a banquet of beer coolers sip. Um, I grew up with, if you had a toothache, you rub, whiskey on it to numb it. Um, at 13, I was bartending my parents' parties. I was working in a triple wide mobile home bar called Johnson's Landing, just south of Palm Springs in California. At the age of 13, as a dishwasher, also pouring beer. And I was just born and raised around alcohol, and I just thought that was part of life. And I was like,
Natural to you.
it was natural for me.
Why not? Yeah. And you made another comment as well. It's that you said you suffered from a fragile ego. Now, I realize this is as you look back on life, now that you're healthier, you're in a far better place. But describe to us that fragile ego.
Yeah, I think with alcohol, you're numbing so much of life and who you are and your ego and your identity and suppressing feelings and not addressing childhood issues and relationship issues and kid issues and like all of that. So it was like, you know, when you come out of that, you know, when you're getting sober, again, you start to feel all those. So if I had that feeling, obviously for 34 years, I'd be like, ooh, I don't like that feeling. I'm just going to numb that feeling because it's way better down there, and I'll manage that some other time because I have this ego to deal with, and that's fragile, and like I don't want to feel those feelings, so I would numb them.
I've read, but I want you to tell the folks how alcohol played into your professional life. Uh, what was your professional life, and yeah, how did alcohol play into that?
Yeah, I was in the hotel business at a young age, right out of college, at the age of 19. And I really didn't dabble a whole lot into alcohol in high school. I was a really good athlete. But man, as soon as I hit that career mode and I was in the hotel business, I figured my networking was all associated with booze. If I could get people out in the bar and entertain them and be the life of the party and bring on more shots and be that guy, I was like, man, okay, that guy's kind of fun to be around. And I got big energy anyway without alcohol. And after my hotel career, I got into the car business and the finance and insurance aspect. So a lot of client entertainment, a lot of martini lunches. a lot of casinos, a lot of strip clubs. Martini lunches would turn into, hey, come back to my house. Let's go sit in the hot tub and drink some fine wine and fire up a barbecue. And then let's go do some shots. And that would end at midnight, 1 o'clock. And that just wasn't one day a week. That would be 4 or 5 days a week.
It
And
was an all-day thing at that time, it sounds like.
it was an all day thing. And I've been sober 8 years now. And I do all the same stuff minus alcohol. I can
And you're
go.
still the life of the party? How
I'm
can that
still,
be?
yeah. Well, I think I actually have more energy now. I lost 80 pounds when I quit drinking, which you'll see some pictures in the book and get a good chuckle. I probably have more energy now, and I can still go sit at a nice dinner, and clients can have red wine, and being around it doesn't bother me. My aversion's still super high. Like I could be sitting at a bar and a whiff of a tequila or a fireball would go by, my mouth will water to this day. My aversion is still extremely high. And it's just a mental thing for me. I feel like $1,000,000 the next morning. While everybody else might be a little foggy and hungover, and I'm like 5 o'clock, we're at the gym. I did my breath work. I did my journaling. I did my prayers. I did my gratitude. I feel like $1,000,000 while everybody else is still sleeping in for a couple hours. So I don't miss those days one bit. Nothing good came out of alcohol for me. Nothing.
It sounds like it pretty well stripped your life at one point. That it had taken over. It was certainly the focus of the day. You may have had other excuses to use it, to imbibe, to go to wherever, but everything was built around the bottle, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I relate it to in the HOV lane, the fast lane in the freeway, in the pouring rain and the fog, driving with the emergency brake on.
Ah.
Today, not a cloud in the sky, our emergency brake's not on, no rain, and I am just like, let's go. And
I
I
like
sold
that.
my company in 2016, and I had to, what would have it been if I was clear-headed, not foggy, and more present with my guys. I don't know. I have no regrets about it, and I have to forgive myself for a lot of stuff in my past, and believe in my current self, and I'm creating my future self. So I just live and breathe that by every day.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about the experience of aversion therapy, how that came about. You've already mentioned the location, but what was the experience like?
So it's a 10-day. There was two. There was one in Seattle. It recently closed, and there was one in Florida. And I haven't researched if there's another one around, but it's 10 days. So I wanted something that was very quick. So nobody knew I was going. My work didn't know anything. My closest friends knew. But the first day you go in, it's a full-on inpatient. You stay there. Got your own room. There's nurses, food, the whole smash. Great, amazing people. Your first day you check in, you meet with a therapist. You have a designated therapist for 10 days. Your first day you kind of get checked in. Next day you look on this board and you'll be like, aversion starts. So you just look on the board and be like, I'm starting at 9. And they get you super hydrated. I was drinking blue Powerade. And then you go into like your doctor's office, and there's a mirror in front of you, a silver bowl, and bartender, we call them, which were our nurses, in a full bar. And they would give you Epicac, which if you know what Epicac is, if you got kids, it induces vomiting. And for me, in about 6 minutes, you just feel sweaty and you feel like, just that time right before you're going to throw up or get sick or you're hungover. And they give you a nice tall glass of salt water to really get it going, and then they pour you a shot and it's everything. It's from vodka to whiskey to Bailey's to bourbons to Coors Light to red wine.
Is it their choice or your choice what you're drinking?
Well, they ask you when you check in what was like your vice, and I love vodka sodas and I love Coors Light, so they kind of started with those with me.
All right.
because they wanted to get you averted to all of it. So they would give you a shot, you swish it around in your mouth, and you spit it in a silver bowl. And by the second shot, you ain't keeping anything down. You can barely get it in your mouth to swish it around to spit it in the bowl, and you're starting to throw up in this silver bowl. And they try to get you to 18 shots, and it is insanely brutal. And that only takes about 20, 25 minutes to get you there, and then they take you back into your room, no electronics, and you are violently sick. And then they give you sit at the end of the bed, and you got your little pink hospital bucket that you're used to. And I remember the clock was right in front of me, and you'd just be in there sick, and a nurse would come in and check your vitals every 10 minutes, and you're just violently getting stuff out of your system. In about an hour and a half, you're like, think I'm feeling a little better. And the nurses roll in with a 16-ounce nice glass of Epicac again and a nice warm salt water to wash her down. And you get sick for another hour and a half. And after that, your therapist comes in, grabs you. You try to go get a little Ritz cracker to just put in your mouth to try to get something in there, and you do not feel good. And we did some group classes all around the 4 agreements. And you'd sit in these classes and just go over alcohol and the nasty benefits of it, which are none. That we were trying to find that had to be some, but there was none. And then the next day, up early, and they actually sedate you. So you'd get an IV because they wanted to get into your subconscious. And you had a nurse, your therapist over there on a computer that was going to ask you questions. And then you had your anesthesiologist. And you're out for about maybe 10 minutes. And they ask you all these questions, random. And then you feel like you're on top of the world when you come out of this. You go sit in your room for 15 minutes, kind of get your bearings, but you're on top of the world. It's euphoric. And then you go meet with your therapist to go over these questions. It would be like, who influenced you to drink? Who are good people? Who do you believe that are positive influences for you? Just random questions that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I answered that. Just to try to really figure out where do we need to focus on, where this all came from. And then the next day, you look on the board and you go through your aversion again. But on my 5th day of aversion therapy, I knew what was coming. I threw up in the trash can before I even went into the room. And then they, on your own, see you later. Have a great rest of your life. We'll follow up with you in 6 months to see if you need to come back in for maybe a one-day checkup. They have a 78% success rate, which is pretty insane.
It is.
Yeah, so it worked for me.
What, if I may ask, what was it when they got down to the root core issue for Ian? What was that?
It was my childhood upbringing. Again, kids, if you all have kids are catch more than they're taught. And I just caught how to drink. And it was like, as a kid, we'd go have a potluck. It was like, who's bringing the black velvet and the 7-Up, and who's bringing the box of red wine? And it was just, that was part of my life. It's like, that's what I knew. And it was burned into my brain. And my parents were they were social alcoholics. They drank every day. They weren't blackout drunk, but they had plenty of drinks throughout their day. And I was just born and raised with it. As the older I got, I realized feelings and emotions, and we never really talked feelings or emotions when I was a kid. Everything was always okay. My parents weren't fighters. They weren't screamers. They were none of that. They were very, very happy, life of the party people. They would always be telling jokes, and they always people around. People loved to be around them. And
did that drinking go back to other generations in your family?
It runs deep. Yeah.
Okay.
I was the one that broke the chain in my family.
Congrats.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's I didn't realize how big a deal that really is until you start to get clear-headed.
how old are your children at this time?
My son is 30. I just had his grandbaby, so I got my first grandbaby who just turned 1 on Sunday.
Fun.
He's an assistant golf pro. Um, my 28-year-old daughter, she's a police officer, just moved into detective, and a 15-year-old little girl as well.
Has this been an issue for them, or is it something they've been able to avoid? I'm not going to ask you to get too personal and speak on their behalf, but it'd be
No, it's great. And once you get to the book, I actually had my kids write letters
I
about their
saw
father
those.
drinking,
I was just able to thumb through. Yes.
and it was really important for me because it was very emotional and still is to talk about. So I was the party dad house. I thought I was like the cool dad, right? Be like, hey, my oldest son who's in high school, who I absolutely taught how to drink, we would be having parties on a Wednesday night, and I'd be texting his friends, hey, we're going to go watch whatever's on TV, NCAA basketball or whatever, just some excuse to get people over to drink. And I'd get the kids over, and they'd be like, oh, I'm going to grab a beer. Help yourself. Grab me one. Hey, let's do some fireball shots, kids. And I was just always the one pushing these kids to drink and be the life of the party because I'm the cool dad. And these kids are in high school. Meanwhile, my youngest at the time, who's probably a freshman in high school, as my son's a junior at the time, my daughter would be texting me from her room because this is probably 11 o'clock at night. The music's loud. We're having a ball. We're outside it's just chaos. And there's probably 10 kids there. She would text me like, Dad, could you please turn the music down? I'm trying to study. And in their letters, my daughter writes, I didn't know what kind of dad I was going to get. Was I going to get the happy dad, the sad dad, the mad dad, the party dad? Was there 20 people coming to the house? I had no clue what was coming. My daughter, to this day, does not drink. My son, who used to drink probably like me, can have a couple beers and be completely fine. And I'll be absolutely shocked if my 15-year-old even remotely tries it.
What can you identify your biggest regret in all of this? That one alcohol-induced moment or alcohol thinking moment where, man, if I could have any of them back, it would be that one.
The word being present has a whole new meaning to me today. My kids were very good athletes. They played basketball, baseball. Son was a quarterback in high school. And I had this RV, which was really my mobile bar. And we did a lot of select sports and baseball. So we would go to these double, triple headers with the kids. RV's full of booze. I would make sure everybody in the stands had a red Solo cup. If it's in the morning, we're doing Baileys and coffee. We're going to vodka sodas in the afternoon, and then maybe let's fire some shots in there during a break and fire up some hot dogs and burgers, and then we'll go to beers. And I was making sure everybody's in the stands okay, while my kids behind me are playing baseball and doing the best thing that they can. My regret is not being more present for my kids. And there's not one, there's numerous. Like I said earlier, I kept stacking all these. There wasn't one moment where it's like, hey, get yourself together. I kept stacking all these rock bottoms. And my biggest regret would be that.
Ian, can you give us what you would consider 3 or 4 of the key elements of alcohol recovery?
Number 1 would be your circle. You know, it's that old saying, show me your 5 friends, I'll show you your future. Your circle is everything to do with sobriety. If you still have a party circle and all those different vices in the world, you, one, have to change your circle. It is, and I'm so lucky and blessed with my circle of people that they've been with me from my drinking days to my circle got real small when I got sober.
You call it your core 4. Is that correct?
That's my core 4. Yep.
It's gone from a team to just a tight-knit family, it sounds like.
Yeah, I could have, I could get a text chain going in 10 minutes and I could have 30 people at my house that would be wanting to party and drink, and let's ride the coattails of the inn because we know it's going to be fun and there's going to be a lot of great booze and food, and yeah. And today it's like I would rather have my core four and go barbecue and have a nice steak and talk about feelings and emotions and goals and life and what can we do to be better for each other and what can we do to make an impact on others. Way different conversations with the core four.
So you listed circle as number one of those elements toward alcohol recovery. What's number two?
Number two would be find something to supplement all your dopamine hit. For me, it was working out. And that's a huge part for me, is like to release that energy, to release those feelings. Instead of numbing them, I'm going to go, let's go work out. Let's go lift weights. Let's go on a walk. Let's go on a treadmill. Let's go on a bike ride. So I substitute, because I bought back so much of my time. I can't tell that there's years that I wasted in bars, years, and millions of dollars in alcohol from entertaining clients. Like to go have a $2,300 bar tab would be pretty easy for me.
So
millions of dollars.
Literally millions of dollars.
Over $1 million in 34 years of alcohol. Yeah, it's insane. I sure like to have it today.
Of course.
So fitness would be number two for me. And three would be a routine. I have such a routine, and I just didn't come out of the gate with this routine. It took time to build a routine. I get up early. I don't look at my phone for 30 minutes before waking. Because it's part of my mantra of like, I need to be right before my day starts. So I don't look at my phone. I start my day. I go outside quickly. Even when it's pouring rain out in Seattle, I'll go outside and do a couple minutes of breath work, super deep breaths. And then I instantly go into gratitude. I never journaled my entire life. I thought like 92-year-old women journaled. I journal every day, and my journal starts with gratitude of everything that I'm grateful for, from the smallest things to the smell of fresh coffee that we're so lucky to smell, to my kids, to my gal, to just waking up to have another day to go make an impact. Just having that routine is like sets the tone for me. And then I go to the gym, I cold plunge, but I didn't do all this at once. I had to introduce little things that I was like, hey, this makes me feel really good in the morning, man. This really changes my attitude towards the day. And it really does. It sets the tone for my day of like greatness and appreciation. And we're so plagued with social media and negativity and the news, and there's nothing good on TV anymore. We just get flooded with all this negativity. And how can we combat that? Is like, get your mind right, get ready, go be grateful for what you have today.
As I listen to you explain number three in this, I think I'm hearing bits and pieces of this is where your faith comes into play. That it allows you to recognize your self-worth, your value, how to maintain that, how to help others with theirs. And you've talked about that journaling. That's one of the ways that you easily stay in contact with God, Christ, Holy Spirit, wherever you want to go with that. And I feel that fitting into there. Is that a part of your faith life?
Absolutely. The first thing I do in the morning is I have a little prayer for my kids, that they're happy, healthy, and safe. And I do that multiple times a day. Prayers, I've always been that guy. I just didn't really appreciate it in my 34 years of drinking. I always prayed for my kids. And when I really was trying to talk to the good Lord in my stupid hungover days, it was like, what am I doing? Like, I look back now and go like, how disrespectful. To be honest with you, that's like, what am I doing? Oh, I'm good. I promise I won't drink today. If you just make me feel better today. I mean, like, I know if you drinkers out there or partakers, I know you've all been there. We've all been like, oh my gosh, please, Lord, make me feel better. Please, I won't drink again. Yeah. So many wasted asks.
Okay, let's go to point number 4.
Boy, number 4. What would a good number 4 be? Number 4. would be probably the biggest point of number 4 would be you got to look in the mirror and what could I do better today? And I kind of live, like I mentioned it earlier, it's like you got to forgive your younger self, believe in your current self, and create your future self. That would probably be my number 4. And I know it's kind of wrapped up in a lot of that. But we can't carry our past. I had to do a lot of forgiveness. I didn't go to people, and I know AA world's a lot to like go ask people forgiveness. I think you really got to forgive yourself. Is very, very important. You can't keep dragging what ifs and have these regrets. I'm when I go to the good Lord at the pearly gates when it's my time, He's going to be good, faithful son and be like, "This is what I wanted you to be," and I want to be almost a mirror image of that. I don't want to go up there and be like, "Well, this is what you could have been." I want to be like, "Thankful son."
I've always labeled it as wanting to help individuals become everything God created them to be. Not what Randy thinks he needs or what Randy wants them to be. But if you can become all that God created you to be, man, you're going to bless everybody in your life.
Yeah.
Everybody you come in contact with. What? I'm not even certain how to ask this. How much, number one, let me go back to this. Do you believe what you suffered from during those years with alcohol? We're usually talking about drugs other than alcohol, but we get this one quite often. Is that a disease? How do you label it? Alcoholism. Is
That's
it a choice somewhere in between? Help me.
I think there's something deeper that you really have to dive into. Like it is such a numbing. What are we running from? There is something, and you have to find that. Like I, I've discovered more and more. I got a life coach. After this call, I'm going to go see NED, my therapist, and it all goes back to your childhood. If there's something wrong in your life, let's go back and where was the trauma? And you might not even know it. I didn't even know I had issues with my parents. I had so much resentment for my parents, and I'm just learning this like this year. Like it's mind blowing that at 53 I'm talking about stuff that happened to me at the age of 12 of when my parents left Bellingham and we moved to Southern California and my brothers were left behind. I was the youngest child, and then I became the oldest child, the only child when we moved to California. Like the psychological and the emotional and the subconscious impact that had on me, I didn't even realize it. That I didn't even realize what I was numbing sometimes in my 34 years of drinking, debauchery. And I'm finding that out now.
What you're sharing, I hear so often. Abandonment is not necessarily being dropped off at the corner and left there. Abandonment happens in the house with parents who aren't present, with parents who have to relinquish rights to another child, or the split in the marriage. We've said for so many years that alcohol and marijuana are the gateway drugs. I'm not going to argue that, but I will say I believe there's trauma prior to either of those. That there's a gateway situation that leads to the gateway drug. For you've said it so many times, for that numbing effect. And I've learned over my years of involvement here, I do not agree with, drinking to excess or drugs to excess. And I think that's a much more dangerous excess, but regardless, and that's irrelevant. But I understand, I can't imagine having a life filled with pain, whatever that may be. And it's not a matter of if I see yours as pain. If you see it as pain, you're going to find a way to numb it. to get out of a situation to feel halfway, quote, normal for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever the length of time may be. You take that drug, that pill, you drink that alcohol to get away from it. It makes sense when you're in the middle of that. I'm not trying to support I can't imagine personally. Yeah. Yeah.
And alcohol and drugs, they're so romanticized
Oh,
in our society today that it's like, hey, and I can remember doing this myself. Hey guys, we had a great close today. Let's go celebrate and have happy hour. Let's all go. I'll meet you at the Mexican restaurant. And we'll do some shots and Modelo's. Yay. And then there would be days, it could be the next day. It'd be like, what a horrible day today was. Let's just go, let's go have some drinks and not even think about today.
exactly.
There was never not have an excuse to drink. Let's go celebrate. Let's drink. Had a bad day. Let's drink. Traffic was bad. Let's go have a drink. I had a bad day at work. My boss yelled at
It's
me.
raining. It doesn't matter. We speak oftentimes to high school students. One of the things that I warn each of our speakers is bring no glamour to the situation, which is not easy to do, but culture's already done that. So we've got to speak away from it. Ian, we've got just about 7 or 8 more minutes here. Go ahead, tell the folks a little something about your book, that wild ride to sobriety. Tell them about it and how they can get their hands on it, please.
Yeah. It again, that whole book writing is just to go make an impact on somebody. And I've had, lots of people. I didn't realize that the impact and silent impact I had. But you can get the book on Amazon. It's the easiest place to go get it. It's $11. It'll tug at your heartstrings. It'll show you some routines. It'll give you some laughs. It is very, very relatable, and that's how I wanted it. And it's a very easy read. I didn't do it chapter driven, so it's a little unique. There's pictures in there that kind of bring all the stories together. And everybody that has read it, and there's probably 8,000 books out there that I've sold already, it has touched people in so many different ways that I didn't even realize that it would impact. And do you know what most of it comes back to, Randy?
I want to hear.
Some childhood issues.
Yeah.
And parental issues. I just spoke at my 15-year-old daughter, who's a freshman. I just spoke at her high school, their health class. I don't know, 40 students in there. And man, it got emotional real quick. It was very town hallish. They had a lot of questions. And after that, one of the kids in there that you would probably think would be the best athlete, very well respected with the classmates, maybe a little bit of a class clown, came up to me, gave me a big hug, started crying. Very awkward. And we just hugged. And then his dad struggles heavy with alcohol. He is 15, drinking, smoking weed, and doesn't want to. And it was just very sad. And I was like, man, I think I was that dad. And how emotional that was. And he actually left the class twice in tears, which I thought was very respectful for him, because his classmates, I think, had a whole new respect for him, that this kid could show emotions, which we tend to suppress in schools. It's like,
Sure.
you listen, don't communicate, do as I say. Yeah, it was.
Smile and shake your head, yes. Let's kind of wrap this up here, Ian. What is the final thought you want to leave our listeners with? Hold a minute, we've got a question. Eric, share that with us, would you please? What have you found in yourself that surprised you, personality, etc., since you've been sober? Good question.
Great question. I found joy in myself. I was always such a people pleaser and so worried about everybody else. I finally realized, like, man, I got some good internal happiness going on now that I'm sober, and I've addressed some of my feelings and trauma, I guess, in my life that I finally healed from. And the joy inside is like, it's peaceful. And it's hard to explain, but it's freeing when you can let all that stuff finally out. And my core four, I can laugh and cry with them to when those emotions come out instead of suppressing them. Is freeing.
Amen. Give us final thought here, final word of advice, final whatever you want to say.
Man, I would tell you, forgive your younger self, keep believing in your current self, and keep creating your future self. It's life changing when you can start having forgiveness
That
for you.
that fits somebody with alcohol issues, or it fits everybody in life. We've all, we weren't the brightest at a younger age, okay? We were given good advice many times, or maybe not, but we would run the other way regardless. We had to find out for ourselves. Experience is that teacher. Listen, thank you. Appreciate your transparency and honesty. And folks, we hope you'll continue to join us, listen in. Thank you so much. As always, we'd like to give you those final 4 words. Stay in the battle. And as we've heard Ian say, create. Forgive and create. Become all that God's created you to be. You're going to be a happy camper. We're going to love each other a whole lot more, and we'll be at peace with it all. God bless. Thank you. Amen.